I know that I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. You do. Seriously, I just need to see that. Because we're going to get to the
Mexico takes a break.
That is my only goal. That's a limit yet. The rest of you don't worry about the outcome. But you got a mansion.
Mighty companions are coming online.
How's that?
All right.
Pageant, but you know, it's a
Doug, Berna, Demola, Afra, Annette, Elizabeth. Mighty companions, welcome to the Course of Miracles. Can we acknowledge ourselves, please? Yes. Okay. Can we acknowledge ourselves, please? Come on. Yeah, we're some cool folk. Some cool folk. Thank you for coming today. It's absolutely gorgeous day outside.
It is phenomenal.
It would have been the perfect reason to think an hour would really matter. And just an hour is a short time, and you can go back out, and then hopefully if we do this right, we can go back out and even enjoy the day more. But I'm telling you, welcome to the Course in Miracles. I'm Earl Purdy, and I have one purpose for being on the planet, and that's to be a conduit for love.
You're doing a good job.
And thank you. I appreciate that. Every now and then, you know, springtime, it's time for an exam. And so I appreciate the fact that you think I'm doing a good job.
I do.
You know. I've seen so many miracles in my life in the last 6 weeks that I'm kind of in miracle overload.
Sweet.
Yeah, really. And so I feel like I'm in an altered state all the time. And it's a different space than I've ever been before. It's like moving into a new neighborhood that you don't know your way around in. That's where I feel right now. I feel like I'm another person and I'm getting to know who this is. And the only thing I can say with absolute clarity is that I just want to love you more. And I want to be more loving. And I want to be more sane. And I want to hear the truth more. You know, because if my reality is a reflection of my thinking, all I need to do to change my reality is change my thinking. Problem is, I'm too used to using my thoughts. And I've come to the realization that I don't even know what my own best interests are. And that most of the thoughts that I have are not really my thoughts. They're just thoughts that people gave me that I'm parroting based on what I learned from the time I was born. I realized I came here and everybody started describing to me what the truth is and what reality is. And even with describing to me what I should desire, what I should want, what should be important to me. So I realized I bought into a script that didn't have anything to do with me, for real. And as a result, I struggled in my life. And I had a lot of challenges and self-sabotaging situations that I was always doing to myself. I was firmly convinced that my happiness was dependent on everybody else except me changing. And I also felt like I had a lot of guilt and a lot of sin and a lot of things about me that were not cool. Broken into by periods in which I seemed to be cool.
But that would get me by for
And that would get me by for a little bit until the next time somebody didn't validate me, and then I would become insecure and then need somebody else to make me feel like I was important again. And I wanted them to only make me feel special, so that I would be very jealous and angry if they showed any attention to anybody else besides me. So then my life became trying to get other people to act out my script in order for me to be happy. Since I didn't really love myself like I should, I would always choose people who didn't want to do it, or were unavailable in some way, or failed to really satisfy me. And then I would wonder what was wrong with me again, break off the connection, and then seek for the next person that's going to validate me. I was always valuing things that didn't last. This other thing I noticed, that all of I wanted power, money, fame, and physical pleasure. I wanted power, money, fame, and physical pleasure. I call fame specialness. I wanted to be special, I wanted power, I wanted physical pleasure, and I wanted money. So then I would make up a lot of things that I thought would bring those things to me. And then I would pursue those things. And then I would pursue the things that I thought made me happy. I would assign roles to everyone I knew in terms of what they were supposed to do to support my desire for happiness, even though I didn't ask them to, if they wanted to. And then I would get upset with them and say they didn't support me when they didn't make my interest their priority. And on top of that, I would call them selfish. I also thought I was alone and on my own and there was no God, even though I was saying it, even though I wasn't acting like I believed it at all, because I was still scared of everything. So I was totally jiving when I said I believed in God. That was the first thing I had to get, that my belief in God was the biggest joke that I was playing on myself. I didn't more believe in God than nothing. Because I was still thinking I had to take care of myself, that I was self-sufficient, that I was autonomous, that I was on my own. And so that meant I didn't believe in a higher power at all. I was just saying it because it was another one of those things I had been taught to say as a result of growing up in a religious household. And I also noticed everybody around me were doing the same thing. They were going, if this were different, I'd be happy. If they were different, I'd be happy. If this were different, I'd be happy. If they were different, I'd be happy. If I was in another place, I'd be happy. If in another job, I'd be happy. If I had another mate, I'd be happy. If I'm in another city, I'd be happy. If everybody changed, then I'd be happy. So I saw that one idea was keeping me from ever being able to have any real happiness in my life right now. Because no situation was I in that I could make that situation okay, because I was always telling myself it needed to be different in order for me to be happy. So I saw that trick that I was playing on myself that would guarantee I would never be happy. Because if I make my happiness dependent on you all acting out my script and acting out the way I want you to act, I'll never be happy. Because you're not going to do it. You may pretend to do it in a special relationship as long as it looks like I'm giving you what you want. Then you might pretend to play it for a little while like you're trying to please me, but that's only as far as you feel like you're getting what you want out of it. And the minute that you're not, you know you're going to let me go. So then you go into the thing of changing a person or letting them go. Then you try to change somebody else. So you realize your relationship was just that. You may go from one person to another, either trying to change them into what I thought would make me feel happy, or letting them go, or them doing the same thing to me. And then the whole sex thing was ridiculous. No pun intended. And no, it wasn't because I didn't know how to do it. It's because I did know how to do it. That was the problem. Because I had been taught that it meant so freaking much. So then sex became the symbol of the love. You know, who you did have sex with, who you did have sex with, who you didn't have sex with. If you only have sex with this person and no other person, all of a sudden I bought into the insanity of sex being love. And then that being used as another way to try to validate myself in some kind of way in terms of how many of those conquests that I could allow myself to have to know I must be desirable. So then I was constantly going through the process and then the back and forth and the getting upset. And then at the same time, I was aware that, another part of me was aware that I was everything that I was looking at, that I was one with everything and everybody that I was looking at, that there's just one of us here. Because that's the rumor with this thing that everybody keeps talking about, I've noticed, which is, we are one. I'm always hearing it. I'm always hearing people in the New Age spiritual communities saying, we are one, we are one, we are one, we are God, we are the same thing, we are one. Then if you mess around and you actually believe you're one, which means you want to extend to all parts of yourself, then you're a cheater or a player. So then the fact that I saw beauty in many people and in many parts of myself that I wanted to connect with and get to know, then that created some type of drama in terms of jealousy and fear of anybody I was in a special love relationship with. So there I was on one hand realizing that everybody is me, then on the other hand still trying to live by antiquated rules that I learned in the old way of thinking that I claim I'm trying to give up. Then I found myself still trying to do relationships the same way I always taught myself about relationships in the world. So I noticed I was picking and choosing what aspects of my life that I would apply the truth that I was studying to. So there would be some areas I'd be glad to apply that you're free. And then there would be other areas that I wouldn't want to apply the idea that you're free. So I saw I was a controlling nut. I was so much into trying to control everything out of my fear in order for me to be happy. And nothing ever turned out exactly the way I wanted it to. I had got to the point that I made a point of anybody I was attracted to, I knew that'd be the person that wouldn't make me happy. No, that's sane. That's sane. If you see that you have a tendency to go through the same patterns in relationships over and over again, and that your relationships don't give you real fulfillment and happiness, if you are smart, you will start to think twice just because you are attracted to the person. How many people can relate to what I'm saying? Yeah, if you have one pattern after another of you not being satisfied, then why do you think you should be trusting your attractions?
Yeah, for real.
So you would go, I'm attracted to this person, I don't need to do nothing with them. But they would always be the one I felt the physical attraction to, so therefore I would be tempted to overlook what my common sense was telling me, especially if the other person seemed like they had the same interest in me. Fortunately, most of the people I wanted have never wanted me. So I won. Because if they hadn't wanted me, I would have went for it. The fact that they didn't is what stopped me from going in the wrong direction. Because they weren't cooperating by wanting me back. So I was asking the Holy Spirit, it's like, okay, then the Course of Miracles says to me, look, I can send to you everybody who, the way you are, is the best for them at their level of understanding, and they wouldn't try to change you because the way you are is the best thing that could have ever happened to them, and all they would be doing would be encouraging you and freeing you and loving you. But you have to let me send them to you because you don't love yourself enough to even be attracted to the right kind of person for you. And you know that by looking at your track record, so I'm not saying nothing negative, it's just a fact. Just look at the results of what you taught yourself and you realize you need to resign as your own teacher, Earl. Just step back for a second and then just go, how successful have you been in giving yourself any kind of consistent happiness that doesn't end? So just give yourself that test. How good are you at ever having given yourself any kind of happiness that did not seem to end? And then what does my ego do? It turns around, it comes up with a new thing that it thinks I need to do outside of myself to make me happy. And I think that's the solution. I just haven't found the wrong thing that doesn't work, that works yet. I haven't found the wrong person that's the right person yet. Okay? So I was asking myself, it's like, Okay, so why don't I let the part of me that really loves me and adores me and believes that I'm valuable, why don't I let that part of my mind lead me and take over in my life? And stop listening to the part of me that's insecure, frightened, broke, gets sick, thinks it's going to die, in hopes that they can get somebody to love it for a little while, provided I can guilt trip them into doing what I want them to do when I get upset. That's what anger is. It's just a big old guilt trip that you're putting on somebody. You got anger issues, you got control issues. You're angry because things aren't acting out your script. Everything wasn't created to act out your script. I wasn't born to act out your fantasies. That's not why I'm on earth. To please you is not why I'm here. Especially when you don't even know what pleases you. So what am I supposed to be, like a little dangling puppet trying all kinds of things, hoping that one day I'll do something you like? Yes, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. It's exactly, you're here to make me happy. If you don't, that's the definition of selfish, because I have so much to offer with my own selfish love. So one of the hardest things about studying the Course in Miracles was that it called for me to get out of denial about what a crappy person I am in some ways. Because I thought the way to become spiritual is to tell yourself things you don't believe about yourself until you do. Until you do, which is true. You do tell yourself the truth about yourself until you believe it. But you also don't pretend you're nice. Because you know you're not nice. You know you're not nice. You know you're not nice. And you all know I'm not saying that in an insulting way. You know that if I cross a line, I'm done for with y'all. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how nice you are, if I pinch you on your butt, you freak out. Because that wouldn't be a nice thing, respectful thing to do in your perception. So your peace with me is totally conditional on me acting out your value system. And the minute I break your value system, then you're going to get angry. Real love is not like that. It's not conditional. God, a loving God wouldn't put me in a world where if I didn't have money, I wouldn't be able to eat and have a place to live. A God that loved me would put me in a world that my welfare was dependent on the generosity of people who don't love themselves enough to be generous. We're all on the same level. We're on the learning level. That's the only level that exists. That's why we're here. So it's like, so that's something that Spirit told me. Oh yeah, then it keeps saying, well, all I want you to do is see everybody in front of you as sinless, guiltless, and innocent. If you would just practice seeing people as innocent, sinless, and guiltless, even if you don't believe it, then your life will transform and you will be sustained. And I was so crazy, and I so didn't love myself, I wouldn't do the simple things that the truth was asking me to do to have everything I wanted. And I would work my butt off doing stuff all day that I didn't. But I wouldn't stop and go, you're innocent, you're sinless, you're guiltless, and I don't have to believe it. I wouldn't do that, because that would have freed me. And I didn't think I deserved to be happy. See, I found out that I didn't help other people because I didn't want to be helped. And I knew that if I didn't help others, the universe couldn't help me in a way that I recognized. So out of my own self-hatred, I would not answer anybody else's call for love. Not because I'm so cruel and I don't think your calls for love deserve to be answered. I don't answer your calls for love because the universe will answer mine. And there's a part of me that thinks I don't deserve to be happy. So then I realized, oh, that's why you're not practicing any of this. Because it would free you, Raj. It would free you. It would attract the love you want. You don't think you deserve love. And when somebody stands in front of you and tells you that you do, you don't even value it enough to consistently care to want to hear it all the time. So you just drop in on the people that love you. Just be with them every now and then. So you're loved, as the boy said, you're loved, you're innocent, you're cool, it's all right. Because love is going to still take care of you regardless of how you think about yourself. It doesn't care whether you love yourself. You can study for the next 20 years to fix you. And you're going to find out one day all that was for nothing because you were always loved regardless of how ignorant you were. or how cruel you were, or how unaware you were. There was never a point that you weren't going to be taken care of, because God doesn't love us with the kind of love we love each other with, which is a frightening love and it's unreality. So of course you get scared when somebody says they love you. What in the hell are you getting ready to ask me to do now? You just told me you love me. What is it? What do you want? What's the script? What it is? What is it I'm going to have to do now? Because you just told me you love me. Wow. So when somebody says they love me, 9 times out of 10, in my mind, I always transpose it to, you're special to me.
Oh, that's worse.
Well, then it keeps me awake, though. See, because you only get hurt when you fool yourself. You only get hurt when you deceive yourself and you think something is real that's not. So I know that, first of all, I've been singled out. If I was singled out, it's got to be specialness. You don't single out people you love. You single out people that you feel special toward. Love doesn't single anybody out, because love is equally given to everyone equally. So if I'm going to give all my love to all of you, then why would I single out any one of you? Unless I thought you could meet a need that I have. So that's why a lot of people are not attracted to me. Because I don't meet the needs that most people have. I don't have a ton of money, don't have a big house, don't have a big car, don't even have a conventional attitude about relationships. Who want me? I'm not going to promise you I'm not going to be faithful to you in terms of what I do with my body and how I express myself. I'll never promise anybody that I'm going to behave a certain way for the rest of my life. And I'm going to assure them how I'm going to respond and act in every situation for the rest of my life. I would never limit myself like that. And to somebody who's afraid, that's frightening, because they can't control me then. But that's okay. Great. It took me a while to get it. It wasn't a loss to lose a loss. It wasn't a loss to ever not be with somebody that didn't want me. What I'm trying to do now is stop seeking them. It's like, it's like you realize something, and then you realize you've got this momentum, like when you see someone racing on a racetrack and they go across the finish line. They don't go across the finish line and go, hey! They have to do. That's what I'm doing right now. I've broken the momentum of my insane thinking, but I still have some of that momentum going forward. So I have to forgive myself while I'm still attracted to the things I used to be attracted to. I have to forgive myself while I'm still expressing some of the personality characteristics that I realize are not for my own best interest, as I wind down from the race of insanity that I used to be an Olympic runner in. I'm so glad I'm free, even though I still see my craziness. So then the Course in Miracles says, well, okay, then what you have to do, you need to, first of all, if you want to get the new idea, it says, well, if you want the new ideas, then what you have to do is you have to make it okay for you not to believe them. If you ever want to think something new, you've got to make it okay for you not to believe the new when you hear it. To hear something new, which means to hear something different, Raj, the voice said to me, you're going to have to let go of the idea that you need to believe it or understand it at first. And just let yourself hear it. But that's why I focus more when I'm doing the course and working out of the book and sharing what the book is saying, because I realize that for me, a lot of times what this book is saying is the first time I've really heard it. And I know if you're a person that's never read the Course in Miracles before, what I'm saying from the Course in Miracles will be the first time you've heard it in the Course in Miracles. So I see myself more as a deliverer of a message than making it my responsibility to get you to understand and believe what I'm saying when I'm up here teaching. I want to be a conduit for these words to come to life. That's why I don't do a whole lot of discussions and questions. It isn't about you understanding it. Your understanding isn't a powerful contribution to the truth. It doesn't make the truth what it is because you understand it. So it says, well, the first thing you need to do is you need to hear it without believing it. And then you need to hear it over and 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 over. And then the more you hear it, the more you begin to accept it. The more you hear it, the more you begin to accept it. The more you hear it, the more you begin to accept it until you accept it. And then when you accept it, your physical reality changes. And all of a sudden, what you've been reading about is theoretical love. You're surrounded by that kind of love. Don't tell me miracles aren't possible. I went through emissions control in 15 minutes and then went through the DMV in 10. So anything is possible. Y'all know that. Y'all know that. If I did the DMV and emissions control in 15 minutes each, anything is possible. Cancer can be cured. Yeah, because I don't look at it like the crazy, insecure, fearful Earl is the one that's the real one now. And so I let him feel his feelings and don't try to repress anything that he feels, but I also let the part of me that does want me to have a smooth day get me through the DMV and get me through emissions control. Because it's all just a projection of consciousness. So a good day is actually as easy to have as a so-called bad day, depending on which side of your mind you are siding with. So when I'm teaching, and I see some people going unconscious, and then some people being conscious, he says that's going to happen. Then I try to zero in on the ones who are focused and present with me, because that inspires me to continue to talk. Some people look mean at me. Okay, I mean, some of y'all look mean as hell. Okay, I'm telling you now, you'd be surprised the way your faces look when I said some of the stuff. Y'all, I'm serious. Or the folded arms. You know, and so I have to keep going, regardless of what my physical eyes are showing me. Keep teaching, keep speaking. Don't be affected by what you're seeing in front of me, because you know that the ego in everyone just wants to hear how to have more power, how to have more specialness, how to have more money, and how to have more physical pleasure. That's what the ego is interested in. That's what the part of us that wants to keep us unhappy all the time, that's what it primarily wants. The things that we've always sought that never made us feel fulfilled, even if we got it. And so you've had money, and you've had it and you've not had it. You've had physical pleasure and not had physical pleasure. You've been special and you've not. We all know none of those things truly give us permanent happiness, even though they're very pleasurable in the moment. But all of us know that it doesn't give you permanent happiness, doesn't mean it's not okay for you to have it. So don't give me, so I love to receive money. Remember that during the love offering. Okay. Why? Because I'm just like everybody else. I have to live in the world just like everybody else in the room does. But we are the channels for each other. We aren't the source for each other. So I'm going to do a lesson called I Will Not Value What's Valueless. It's on page 243 in the workbook in the Foundation for Inner Peace version. It's lesson 133, I will not value what is valueless. I'm going to try something different today, which is to finish all of it. Okay. You know why? Because could any of you relate to what I just said?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, because everybody's so quiet. It's like, really, Earl, you're the only one that goes through this. I don't understand. Okay, so I appreciate that. Okay. Did you all recognize yourselves in anything that I see?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't have any patience with my ego anymore, so I don't have any patience with yours. Okay, I don't have any patience with you looking at yourself as if you're not beautiful, not holy, not lovable, and not innocent. If you need somebody to feed that part of you, don't come to me. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to act like a person who's capable of choosing what they think is not capable of changing the situation that they're in. Because there's not anything that we go through that isn't being created by our thinking. And you know you can change your thinking. I don't care what you went through as a child or what I went through as a child. We cannot continue to use that as an excuse to stay the way we are. If you want to suffer, I'm going to let you suffer. I'm going to let you suffer. I'm going to remember that you don't deserve to suffer, and I'm going to let you suffer. Because the more you suffer, the quicker you're going to get to the point that you stop suffering. And I'm not going to stop you from getting to extreme suffering so that you get serious about your spiritual awakening as you are about all the other things in your life that you make time for. So people are going to call you cool. They're going to call you cold. They're going to call you aloof. They're going to call you detached when you become loving, because you simply will not play their ego games with them anymore, because you're not playing ego games with yourself anymore. You can pretend there's nobody out there to love you if you want. You can pretend there's not abundance and wealth in this universe for you if you want. You can pretend there's not health for you if you want. You can pretend there's not freedom for you if you want. But I'm not going to believe it, and I'm going to support your freedom, and I'm not going to correct you, and I'm not going to fix you, and I'm not going to do anything to support what you're telling yourself about yourself.
Thank you.
You're welcome, because that's what I want, and I'm going to give what I want. So when he says that I will not value what's valueless, he says sometimes in teaching there's benefit, particularly after you've gone through what seems theoretical and far from what the student has already learned. In other words, it's important to bring you back to practical concerns. So I've read this for 30 years, so just let me read it to you in a way that will make it make a lot more sense. Okay, it's time to bring you back to practical concerns. This is what we're going to do today. Today we're going to focus on the practicality of the course. We're not going to speak of lofty, world-encompassing ideas. In other words, what we're going to do today, we're going to dwell on the benefits to you. Okay, so we're going to dwell on the benefits to you. That's what we're going to do right now. We're going to talk about the benefits of this to you, and how to know when you're really beginning to focus on what's really beneficial. I want to know what's really beneficial. I want to know who's really beneficial. The Course in Miracles says all directions exist, but you don't have time enough to try all of them. So you best choose one. And also use the term right and wrong. Why? Because if you tell yourself something is wrong for you, you have a tendency not to want to go in that direction and just save yourself some time. But if I tell you all directions are okay, then how are you going to save yourself some time? Does that make sense? Yeah, so somebody needs to say to you, you know what, Purdy, that's wrong-minded. That don't mean you're a bad dude. That's just wrong. It's not going to work. He says you'll stop doing something that doesn't work faster than you will stop doing something that you think is good or bad. That you'll stop doing something that doesn't work a lot faster than you'll stop doing something that you feel guilty because you did it. And then you know that's true. If you tell me trying to vacuum my house with a radio won't work, then I don't do it. But if you tell me trying to do it is bad or good, then I get into, oh, I'm bad or good, how can I get rid of that? So I can feel good about myself again. So he says, you're not asking, first of all, I want to tell you that you don't ask too much of life. You're asking far too little of life. When you let your mind be drawn to concerns about your body, when you're constantly concerned about your body, that means when you let your mind be drawn to things you buy, when all you think about is what you want to buy, it's whatever you think about is eminence, is valued by the world, you just want to be famous, you just want to be special. Whenever you do those things, you are asking for sorrow. So every time you say that you want to be special according to the world, when you say that all you should be focused on is what you want to buy, and all you think about is the concerns of your body, you are not asking for happiness. See, I hate to hear that. Don't tell me that the thing I made up in my mind is going to make me happy. It doesn't make me happy. Because I've already decided it's going to make me happy. So when you say this, I feel resistance. Not because what you're telling me isn't true. I feel resistance because I've already decided that this is going to make me happy. So now it sounds like you're asking me to sacrifice my happiness. Because I've decided that this is going to make me happy. You just told me it's not. So it sounds like you're trying to take my happiness. This is that old spiritual stuff where you got to give up everything in the world and in the body, or else you can't make it to heaven kind of stuff. So the Course in Miracles says this Course doesn't attempt to take from you the little that you have. This Course isn't trying to I love this. I'm not trying to take from you the little bit that you have. You got a little bit. I'm not trying to take it away. Then it goes on to say, I'm not trying to substitute utopian ideas for satisfactions which the world contains. There are no satisfactions in the world. Haven't you noticed that you've never done one single thing your entire life in the world that's ever totally satisfied you? Yeah. Haven't you noticed that there's never been one single thing that you've done your entire life that has ever permanently satisfied you? I can say statements like that in total confidence because I know it's true. Because If you'd already found the thing that satisfied you, you'd be happy right now. You'd be the most cheerful people in this room. You'd be jumping up and down consistently. So I know that you haven't found any kind of lasting happiness. Oh, you'd certainly be smiling. Earl. See, you got to understand. I'm saying you, but I'm talking to me. I'm in every class I give. I know I'm the one that needs to learn this more than you. I need to learn it so bad I'm teaching it. You don't teach it, so you don't need to learn it as bad as me. I don't see that as a problem. I'm just glad I'm finally focusing on what's valuable. That I'm not wasting no more of my time like I used to, but still looking for my happiness where it wasn't located. So I'm glad, that's what I'm ecstatic. So then it says, well, today we're going to list the real criteria by which to test all things you think you want. So you're going to use this to test everything you think you want. Unless everything you think you want meets these sound requirements, unless everything you think you want meets these requirements, they aren't worth desiring at all. So Spirit is about to tell us the test to give everything we think we want. And if it doesn't pass this test, it's not even worth wanting. And you also can apply that to relationships and people. I used to want people who weren't worth wanting. So he says, now what that means is, unless these things meet these sound requirements, they aren't worth desiring at all, for they can but replace what offers you more. So whenever you're going after what's not really worth having, they are actually replacing what would give you more. So every time I'm with someone that's not worth having in terms of love and truth and awakening, I got them actually in place of the person that could be in my life that's actually worth having. You got to understand that anything that makes you unhappy is a replacement. So it's standing in the way of what you really want. Okay. Then the Course in Miracles then says to us, the choosing. He said, I love this. He says, the laws that govern choice, you can't make the laws that govern choice. You don't make up the laws that govern choice, no more than you can make up the alternatives from which to choose between. What does that mean? Yeah. Okay. There are not but two things that you can choose between, and you don't have any choice about it. You're either going to choose something that brings you love and joy, or you're going to choose something that brings you fear and conflict. Those are the only things you ever choose between. That's what it means when it says that the alternatives are there. Okay? Then it goes on to tell me that the choosing you can do, indeed the choosing you must do. You got to choose. And it's wise to learn the laws you set in motion when you choose. I need to know what's going to happen when I choose. I got to choose, but I want to know what's going to happen when I choose. In other words, I need to know what are the alternatives that I'm choosing between when I choose. What are the two things that are going to happen when I make this choice? Okay, so we've already stressed there are but two alternatives. What's real and what's not. What's love and what's fear. What's going to free you and what's going to limit you. What's going to bring you abundance and what's going to bring you lack. Those are the two things that we choose between. And then it says, now you need to know what you're setting in motion when you... If I had known what I was setting in motion when I decided to get married at 19 years old, I wouldn't have. Now I can look back on it now and see how Spirit used my choice to benefit me and to teach me. And I learned lessons. And I suffered. And I had some peace, but I mostly suffered. Okay? I didn't have to go through that in order to learn my lesson. Don't you think for 1 second that you got to go through pain in order to learn something. You do not have to learn through pain. You do not have to learn through pain. You do not have to learn through pain. But if you choose to go that route, Spirit will use it to teach you. But be really clear, you're the one that's choosing the path of pain. It is not God. So then it goes on to say, we've already stressed there were two alternatives, however many there may appear to be. The range is set. This we can't change. It would be most ungenerous to you to let the alternatives be limitless. That's what I was saying earlier. Because if I let the choices be unlimited, that would delay your final choice because you got so many choices. until you had considered all the choices in time and had been brought not been brought so clearly to the place where there is but one choice that must be made. So as quick as I can get you to the point that you realize there's only one choice for you to make, that's when I save you some time. Because you're thinking that there are a lot of different alternatives to choose from, and you want to try all of them, and I'm telling you, you don't have time enough to try all of them. So let me save you some time to help you get to the one choice that you're going to end up making and save you some time. You know, let's say I want to go out with everybody here, but it was only one person and it was the best one for me to go out with. If the universe showed me that person, that'll save me a lot of time. We already having a good time. I don't want to have to go through all of y'all to find out who's the one. I want to recognize the one immediately.
Me too.
I know when I'm in the presence of a woman that's compatible with me. And I know when I'm in the presence of a man that's compatible to me. So therefore, I don't get deceived like I used to about my relationships. So I don't go through the pain I used to go through, because I know what the woman that I'm supposed to be hanging out is going to say and how she's going to act based on this, because it told me how a loving person talks and responds. And I know when I'm listening to a part of myself that's still afraid and asleep in the female body, and I know the best thing I could possibly do is not get into any kind of intimate connection with this person. So consequently, I have much more impersonal love relationships than I have personal. All you got to do is listen. I swear to God, that once you study this and you know the difference between a loving mind and a fearful mind, which is what it teaches you, you just listen to a person. They are impressed the fact that you're even listening, because they're not even used to that. They're used to other people trying to make themselves interesting, not even asking them a question about themselves. But then you go out with somebody and they're asking you questions about you, you're much more prone to be impressed by them because they're interested. But what's happening is, if they're a conscious being, they're listening to you to determine the most peaceful way to relate to you. So when I'm listening to somebody, I'm listening to their value system, which is based on what they say they want or how they are describing their day. And then that lets me know how far to go. Because I listen. I'm one of the oddest things that's ever been created in a man's body. I listen to women. I actually listen to what they're saying. Because I found everybody reveals themselves if you listen, know what you want, and know what the truth sounds like. It's much easier for me never to go on that journey of pain in relationship than to get in it and then try to study so I can get out. And then study some more to try to get over it after it's over. One day you're going to go, when someone says they want to release the relationship because it served its purpose and they want to move on, you will be truly grateful. You wouldn't spend one day at therapy trying to forgive them, because you would know that was the most loving thing that could have ever happened. Especially if they told you they didn't want to be with you anymore. Because they were being honest and they weren't stringing you along, and they were telling you, and it don't matter if it's by text. You just need to know what's going on. I hear all this stuff. Don't quit, break up with me by text. You just need to know I broke up with you. So it can be text, it can be impressed, it can be an airplane right there in the sky. We gone. It ain't the form of the message that matters, it's the message. You didn't do it, you did it through a text. You know, maybe that person knew you were going to freak out. They didn't want to deal with that. How do you know you want to freak out? You was freaked out about the text. You've already revealed you're going to freak out. It's so funny. We think we're hidden. We think we're private. We think we're secret. And it's like the Course in Miracles says, you know what, dude? Said there's no such thing as private thoughts. There's no such thing as a private thought. All you got to do is know the truth, know what's not true, listen and observe, and you'll know everybody's thoughts. While you talking to me about somebody else, you're telling me how your mind works. You don't have any private thoughts. You're full of grievances. Then I know that you'll have a grievance toward me too. I'm just special right now. So it makes me think I'm not going to be subject to the rules that the people who have displeased you before have gone through, because right now, I'm the most important one. So I'm different. You would never do that with me because you love me. See, when you're unconscious, you fool yourself every time. You go right back in the same old stuff you've been in before and wonder why you hurt it again. So here are the criteria. Well, this stuff gets so deep to me that, for me, it always looks like the time is passing faster than what I... See, when I just get warmed up and I'm ready to give y'all 35 years of doing this, it's over. The class is over.
I would ready for a workshop.
You know, I think for those who are ready for a longer time, it's about time for that. Now, some people can't be over fast enough, but if that's true for you, but if that's true for you, then, just come. Just stay at home. If it's a strain, just stay at home. It's live stream. You can let it be. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's like, think of also giving as well as getting. This is what the Holy Spirit told me. You always go places, Earl, wondering what you're going to get out of the situation. What am I going to get out of this class? What am I going to get out of my friendships? What am I going to get out of my job? What am I going to get? 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 I'm just a getter. So when I come into a situation, I don't share anything of myself. I'm here to get, boy. You be a damn good teacher. You give me what I came here to get. But we should be coming together to share, to join, to love each other, not to get. I love it, And I always say Earl because I know whatever I see in anybody else's ego isn't my ego. You see, my ego can only see itself. I want you to hear that. Your ego can only see itself. So there is not one single freaking quality that you see in anybody that's not in your mind. Notice I didn't say that's not in you. I didn't say that quality of selfishness was in you. I said there's nothing that you see that's not a reflection of a thought in your mind. Because you are perfect and whole and complete. So if I see selfishness, it's not in me, it's in my mind. The Holy Spirit doesn't even see your ego. A loving mind doesn't even see your flaws. A loving mind doesn't see your selfishness. It doesn't see your anger. It doesn't see your jealousy. It doesn't see a loving mind doesn't even see those qualities in you. So anytime you see any of those qualities, you will never be in a loving person seeing a problem. A truly loving person sees no problem. All they see is the love of God. They don't see something other than the love of God and then try to fix it. My fear sees your fear. My anger sees your anger. My jealousy sees your jealousy. I can't go and say my partner is jealous but I'm not. No, you're not acting jealous because your partner is acting jealous. And their jealousy is making you have a false sense of security so you can act like you are not jealous. Just let them do what you're doing. And then see what happens then. Oh, God. I'm shocked any of you all show up in my class. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate that. But I think some of you have had enough. You reached your limit. You've gone, okay, I'm ready to look at something different now. Yes. And over the next few months, that's what you're going to hear. So then it goes on to say, another kindly and more related law is, you know what? I'm breaking my own rule. I'm not going to rush.
And you're not going to finish.
And I'm not going to finish. And those who are drawn to the next to completing it, they'll show up at the next class, and those for whatever reason need to be somewhere else will.
The thing you did on that I will forgive and it will disappear, that was badass. That was through me.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why I said all of a sudden my higher self went, nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody. Because see, my ego wants to hold on to you. My ego wants you to come back. My ego wants to see it grow. My ego wants, you see what I'm saying? And so then I let this start determining how I was relating to you. All of a sudden I had to catch myself. Whoa! Wait a minute, you're trying to get them. Every relationship that I've ever had that worked out the best for me never was one I chose. Consciously. If I be honest with myself, it was the person that showed up unexpectedly. And they were already interested. Those were the two qualities I noticed. I wasn't expecting them, and they were genuinely attracted. And turned on. But then all of a sudden I realized the ones that wasn't successful 90% of the time were the ones I chose. The person I went, boy, I'd like to have that relationship. And I don't just mean romantic relationships, I'm also talking about friendships. You know, the person that I was attracted to them. Those have been my most unsuccessful relationships.
Yes.
The ones I pursued. And as a man, you're really taught that. You know, in the ego illusion of the world, you're the masculine, you're the penetrator. You're the terminator, I'm the penetrator. And so to be a man and go, I'm going to observe, I'm going to listen, I'm going to see what wants me. What sees me? Who sees me? See who sees you. I don't have any defenses against a sincere person. I don't. If you're truly sincere and loving, you got me. I don't think anybody can really resist a truly sincere, honest, loving person. You can't. You've been around them. You go to instant trust. You go to instant click. You go to instant yes. They don't have to convince you that you can trust them. Anybody that you have to convince that they can trust you is a red flag. I'm telling you, you're interested in somebody and they go, I don't know, I have trust issues. Okay, you just handle them. Because I don't have a trust issue. I'm ready to trust you. I don't have time to get you ready to trust me. Life is too short. I wasted too much time on people who weren't worth it.
Yes.
I'm not going to do it anymore. So I must think I'm worth it, finally. Earl, you're mine. Yes, I think you're worth it. So I'm going to give you the first law. Another kind of related law. First of all, what's the first law? The first law is that there are but two things you have to choose between. And that you got to make a choice. The second law is there's no compromise in what your choice must bring. What does that mean? Whenever you read the chorus, go, what does that mean? Then read the next line. What does that mean? It means that it can't give you just a little, for there is no in between. What does that mean, that there's no little in between? What does that mean? It means this. Each choice you make brings everything to you or nothing. That's what it means. Every choice you make is going to bring you either total love or no love. Every choice you make is going to either bring everything to you or nothing real to you. You're never choosing any. He said to me, you only really choosing between what's real and what's unreal. What will last and you can count on, and what is temporary and you can't count on. Those are the only two things you're ever choosing between, Earl. And it says, therefore, if you learn the test by which you can distinguish everything from nothing, you will make the better choice. If I learn how to tell the difference between what's real and what's not, I will make the better choice. If I know how to tell the difference between love and real love and what's not, then don't worry. I'll make the better choice. I need to know the difference, then I'll make the better choice. And we are being told, you don't know the difference between what's real and what's not. You don't know the difference between when you're asking for chaos and when you're asking for a peaceful experience. You don't know when you're choosing between who loves you and what doesn't know what love is. So therefore, your first need is to learn to distinguish what is from what isn't, so you can make the better choice. And then that's what we're going to go into next, even more deeply. Could you acknowledge yourself this much, Holy Spirit? Give me some inspiration. You do. You really do. I'm cruel. I know. You do. No matter what, you deserve to be loved. Those of you online, no matter what, you deserve to be loved. And so, I'm doing the financial expression of appreciation. Thank you so much for sharing with me. Yes. Thank you. Those of you online, if you'd also like to make a financial expression of appreciation, I really appreciate that. I love to do this full time in the world, and I don't charge a fee for my classes because I want everyone to be able to receive these messages regardless of their financial situation. But it is what I do in the world, so thank you for caring enough about me to share in a way that helps me. Thank you so much. So much. I'm also available for one-on-one personal sessions. Go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and whether you're local or long distance, we still can do it. If you have reached your limit and you are ready to make an investment in yourself, then I am 100% willing to work with you on that. But I want to make myself unneeded. So I'll tell you everything I know to share with you, and then after that it's going to be me supporting you in doing it, but you got to do it. I can't hear the same thing over and over again after I've shared with you a way to get out of it. Because you're lonely and you want somebody to talk to. Okay, because you don't have a problem that God can't solve. You're not that special. Okay? You don't have a problem that this book has not given instructions about how to handle it. That's why I can say that with confidence. I can tell you what the Course says that you need to do that would end that problem, because there is no order of difficulty in miracles. There is not one miracle that's harder than another. Those of you online, Mary and Latasha, CJ, thank you. Demola. Betty. God, me and Betty go back 25 years. Blue.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm meeting so many people I haven't seen in 25, 26 years since I started doing this stuff live. And guess what? Our bodies look different. You know how you freeze people in time? It's like the last time you saw them, that was it, And then, but the spirit's the same. The energy is the same. The consciousness is the same. And that's what's exciting. That's what's so exciting. Is to know that they still continued on their journey, even though it looked like for a while you went your separate ways, and for whatever reason, now you're intersecting again. You all are the greatest treasures in my life. Because the Course teaches that there's nobody absent who you need. And anybody that is absent is someone you don't need right now. So you may be longing for this person, but you really don't need them. If you really needed them, they would be here. Now, the people you really need are the people that's here. But they may not be fitting your specialness criteria. So therefore, you don't get excited about them. Because the ego is like, can't figure out how it's going to meet its need. So I don't get excited. You don't trigger my pattern. I don't get excited. So I realize that my special attractions are always based on something from my past. You remind me of my past. I want you. Okay. All right. I'm going to say a thought for 1 minute. Tuesday night, Way of Master, 7 o'clock, Mountain Time, live stream. Course of Love, Thursday night, Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Course of Love is off the chain. You can get a chance to see it of the videos I've done on YouTube or also on Facebook. I did one called You're Not Your Body last Thursday night. You need to watch it. It's awesome. And the Way of Master. These are some I do awesome classes. And that's not for my ego. They deserve to be looked at over and over and over again. I try to teach with love as best I can and let the light come through. I try not to just be a talking head in front of you. I really want love to come through me to you. And I want to feel it from you through to me. And the only reason why I don't is I'm blocking it. See, that's what I realized. I am the one that's blocking it.
Thank you for taking responsibility.
Oh yeah, it was when the drama left my life. It was the hardest thing to do. But the trickiest to get people to do is say, I'm responsible for what I'm experiencing. I'm responsible for what I'm experiencing. Because they take that to mean blame. And I'm responsible for what I'm experiencing. Because they don't know, if you do that, if you digest everyone you see, if you internalize everyone and everything you see, the drama will leave your life. The hate I see in the world is in my mind. The anger is in me. The insanity of the government is in me. The racism is in me. The separation that I'm looking at is in me. If the air polluter is me. The climate change denier is me. The one that eats the biggest Big Mac in the world while saying I want to be into healthy eating is me. All of them are me. There's only one of us. And so if there's just one of us, how could there be somebody else having a quality? There can't be any such thing as somebody else having a quality if we are God and we are one and we are love. Everything you see is in your mind. Your mind, your mind, your mind, your mind, your mind. Look at the news, that's your mind. Look at it, you can hide, you can never look at the news. Still don't stop it from being in your mind. And as soon as internalize it, it's nothing to figure out. Go, it is in me. It is in me. It is me. It is me. And you'll say to yourself, but I'm saying that nothing's changing. Remember what I said at the very beginning. You got to say it over and over and over and over and over and over until you accept that it's true. So in the beginning, you're not going to believe it. It is not going to look like it's making a difference because you don't believe it in the beginning. So why should it? You're taking yourself to the point you believe it. And what's going to be the benefit? You will watch the drama leave your life.
Yay.
That's the payoff. If all that stuff you're worried about Earl, all that stuff you're worried about Earl, all that is because you're not owning it. You're not seeing it as your call for love in God. You're not seeing it as in your consciousness. You're still thinking it's something that's happening to you and not something that you're creating. And if you get smart, you go, decide for me, Holy Spirit, decide for me, Holy Spirit, decide for me, Holy Spirit, decide for me, higher self, decide for me, higher self, decide for me, higher self, decide for me, God. Or everything you don't know what to do, you go, decide for me, 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 decide for me. If you're a person and you're confused and you're going through the same pattern over and over again, decide for me, 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 decide for me. Tell Lord to decide for you. Tell Spirit to decide for you. Tell Spirit to decide for you. So what we're going to do today, right now, we're going to say, I will not value what is valueless. Anybody that feels like saying it, I will not value what is valueless. So close your eyes just for a minute. I will not value what is valueless. 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 You will not value what is valueless. Let's tell each other, you will not value what is valueless. You will not value what is valueless. We will not value what is valueless. Keep saying it. We will not
value what is valueless.
Say it.
We will not value what is valueless.
Things that do not last, will not value
what is valueless.
Things that are temporary, we will not value what is valueless. Relationships that hurt you, can anybody just keep going? We will not value what is valued. Thank you, those who feel like doing it.
I will not
It's only a minute. It's only a minute. You can do it. You can do it. I will not value what is valueless. Anger, guilt.
I will not value what is valueless.
Sickness and hate.
I will not value what is valueless.
Attack and disease.
I will not value what is valueless.
Being severed from love.
I will not value what is valueless.
Being broke.
I will not value what is valueless.
Painful relationships.
I will not value what is valueless.
Being in a career that doesn't fulfill you.
Value what is valueless.
You say we will not value what is valueless. We will not value what is valueless. We will not value what is valueless. I 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 will not value what is valueless. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What is valueless? I will not value what is valueless. I will not value what is valueless. I will not value what is valueless.
And you know what? You are unbelievable, humongously valuable. I appreciate y'all guys. Y'all cute. I love you. Let's love us. Let's give it for us. I know it can take you more than knocking on yourself in one day than happens in a whole week. But we can do it. Remember, your outer world is going to reflect the attitude you hold about yourself. I can't say that enough. When you acknowledge you, other people will start acknowledging you and seeing you. It's not egotistical to acknowledge yourself. People usually always acknowledge other people with more enthusiasm than themselves. Because we've been taught that self-debasement is humility.
Yeah.
That you're being humble if you put yourself down and don't see yourself as being beautiful and important. That's crap. Do not buy into the stuff you learn from the world. Don't buy into it anymore. You are valuable. I love you. Hugs are available. Hope to see you at the next time I see you. Okay? That's how specific I'm willing to be.
Say, Sarah, would you hand me that iPad, baby?
I'll start to pass it.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Since you're so close, I'm gonna still know.
That's right. Ah, thank you, darling.